Hello, beautiful people on the internet. It's me, Grattify What Ifs, and I'm here to tell you what if Deku had vibes powers. I'm back again with a new What If. And I know what you guys are saying in the comments. We want a new Green Ninja Deku. And I know how you feel, but I just gotta take a break sometimes, you know? So I'm just doing this new What If. And yes, your eyes don't deceive you, this is a collab with who? Well, you just have to watch to near the end of the video to know who it is. But he's a pretty chill dude, he's higher than me. But before you get into the what if, please do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and comment down below any kind of what if ideas that you want me to do in the near future. And he might do it as well if you comment down below and he's looking through it. So hey, it might be picked up by either of us. So yeah, now that I've gotten the checklist out of the way, let's get straight into my part of the what if. So sit back and relax. Also, enjoy this intro. So we start this what if when Izuku Midoriya was 4 years old. Everything went just like it did normally in canon, except there was something different. Izuku Midoriya was different. He was impulsive, hyperactive, and at times couldn't pay attention to the things around him. His mother, Inko, noticed this and decided to take Izuku to the doctor one day, and that's how she found out that her son was extremely ADHD. Now, for those of you that don't know, ADHD stands for Attention Deficiency Hyperactive Deficiency, and it's exactly how it sounds. You're very hyperactive, you lose track of time and attention and all of those things. Sometimes it can even cause you to be impulsive. And that's what's changed in Izuku. He was no longer this kind of scared, complacent kid, but he was still Izuku, if I'm still making sense. But this deficiency caused Izuku not to make many friends then. And this was before they all started to develop quirks. And the only friend the only person, not even friend, that even bothered to come close to him at all was Bakugo. And they decided to become friends, and Izuku was a bit happy that he wasn't so lonely anymore, even though that it was a toxic relationship. But that changed a year later, as their relationship was a bit rocky for the past few weeks. One day they decided to cross the bridge to get home. So, what are you guys going to do when you get home? Bakugo asked his crew. They started to give out answers that you expect from lackeys or crew members in a police group. But Izuku wasn't paying attention to this, and this pissed off Bakugo. As he tried to walk close to him to ask him why he isn't paying attention, Bakugo wasn't paying attention to his surroundings and slipped off the bridge. The only thing that the guys could do was look on onto horror as Bakugo was falling into the water below. As he fell flat on it, he was okay. And as he was getting up, he saw his lackeys on the bridge shouting, "Are you alright?" and calling out his name. "I'm fine, you numbskulls," he screams at them, signaling that he was okay. And as he was getting up, he saw a hand appear right in front of him. He looked and he saw Izuku trying to help him. "You sure you're alright?" the green-haired kid asked, still putting out his hand for Bakugo to grab. But instead of grabbing it and accept his help, Bakugo instead smacks it away. "I'm fine. Get lost, Izuku," Bakugo tells his friend, and his crew were coming down from the bridge stopped as they watched this unfold. Izuku, instead of being complacent with this attitude, just got ticked off. "Oh, I'm sorry trying to help you was such a problem, Kachan," Izuku says very sarcastically. "Yes, it is a problem, cause I don't need help from quirkless people like you," he bluntly states to him, which knocked Izuku off his guard for a second. "Oh wait, I'm sorry, I meant late bloomers. You went to get examined, right, and they told you that you were quirked? That's just bull." He starts to make more fun of Izuku, and this was the reason why their relationship had been rocky for a bit. Everyone had gotten their quirk recently, including Bakugo, but the only person that hadn't gotten their quirk was Izuku. And he did get examined. The doctor did tell him that he was still quirked, but nobody really believed him. They just decided to wait and see if you still get it or not. And this causes Izuku's hands to shake violently, as it does whenever he feels incredibly enraged or something else. Bakugo noticed this and laughed. "So what, late bloomer? Wanna fight?" Before Izuku could respond, Bakugo launched an explosion to his face, knocking him to the water. As Izuku was clutching in pain, Bakugo moved out of the lake. "I don't ever want to be near you again, and same goes vice versa. Got it, Izuku?" He looks to him in disgust before finally leaving with his crew, and this was the end of the supposed friendship. The next few months passed, and Izuku was not doing very well, as every week there seemed to be a new bully, and his attitude towards people and him being a late bloomer caused him to be a target for a lot of people. Some even speculated that Izuku lied about being a late bloomer and was truly quirkless, and Izuku just became more and more resentful towards them. But one day, as he was in recess swinging on the swing set on his own, he started to hear some explosions. He looked the other way and he saw some kid being bullied by Bakugo and his crew. "Ha! Such a weak quirk. You can't even put up a proper fight? That's just pathetic." As he inched closer and closer to the boy, Izuku stepped in, separating them. Well, speaking of pathetic, look what the cat dragged in." He laughed and his crew laughed as well, not wanting to make him look bad. "How about you just give it a break, Kachan? What did this guy do to you anyway?" he says without fear, facing his once good friend. "I don't feel obliged to tell you anything, but I guess you have to know since you would feel the same way. That idiot over there was disrespecting All Might." He pointed at the boy with fury in his eyes, ready to squeeze the life out of him. While Izuku looked at the boy behind him, he could understand why Bakugo would be mad, but he doesn't know if he's lying or not. You can't just beat him up because of that. People have their own opinions too. He still stood his ground, and Bakugo, he just sighed. Of all things to do when you're protecting the guy that this is my hero. I thought you liked him too. Well, don't say I didn't warn you. He pounded his fist and explosions came out. He showed a wide grin. This is going to be fun. Izuku got himself into position, and everyone gathered to see the fight. And the kid Izuku was even trying to protect had disappeared. This angered Izuku, as he was risking limb and limb for this kid, and he just disappeared? The fight began with punches to the gut and knees to the face, but Izuku was already at a disadvantage as Bakugo, who is a bit experienced with his quirk, was using it to beat Izuku mercilessly. He was winning, and the crowd was cheering. The teachers didn't even do anything to stop him because they felt like he needed to be taught a lesson, a hard lesson. And as Bakugo grabbed Izuku by the collar and raised him, he stretched out his other hand, setting off smaller explosions. "Any last words?" he said to Izuku, smiling like a maniac. And instead of the feelings of fear to take hold of Izuku, he was instead angry. Angry at Bakugo for being a jerk, angry at his school for the discrimination, and angry at his stupid quirk that can't even manifest. And all this anger caused his hands to shake. But now there was something off about it. It began to grow, and some of the spectators noticed this, but Bakugo and even Izuku didn't notice this. "Let go of me!" he screamed, pushing Bakugo, but the energy that he was building unconsciously took the form of a shockwave, sending Bakugo into the school wall and pushed some of the spectators away. Everyone was in absolute shock of this. They whispered among themselves, He has a quirk? I thought he was quirkless. Did you see the way that he sent Bakugo flying? What kind of quirk is that?" But Izuku didn't pay much attention to this. Instead, he focused on his hands. Then he began to grin from ear to ear as he was inspecting it. It came. It finally came! Yeah! But his voice trails off as he passes out from the beating and exhaustion from using his power from the first time. The teachers pulled all the students away from Izuku and carried him to the hospital, then called Inko to tell her what happened at the school. Now that my part is done, take it from here, Six.
Well, sure, Grattify. Well, to those of you who don't know, my name is Sixmaster. I am a YouTuber who is almost at 1K subs. Y'all better go subscribe right now and get me over 1,000 subs. Thanks for the opportunity for the collab, Grattify. Like, seriously, man, support y'all. But let's get into this. As Izuku woke up, he found himself on a bed, but he realized it wasn't his bedroom home. Was it all a dream? As he began to doubt himself and that he had a quirk, he is grabbed from behind by a familiar voice. "Oh, Izuku, my baby, you're okay." Inko hugs her son tight. A bit too tight for his comfort. Izuku could barely breathe and tapped his mom, showing that she should stop. "Mom, what happened?" Izuku asked his mother, wondering what was going on. "Oh, Izuku, you wouldn't believe it. Your quirk manifested in school. I don't know why, but I was told it would come sooner or later, and I always told you that." She lets out a huge sigh. "Oh, I wish I could have been there to see it." But as she was saying this, Izuku began to cry, and Inko took notice of this and said, "Oh, Izuku, what happened? Was it something I said?" As she said, Izuku looked up and was smiling through his tears. "Sorry, Mom. It's nothing. It's just a little dust in my eyes," he said to calm his mother down. But the truth was, he was so happy it wasn't a dream, and it really was his quirk awakening after all this time. After Izuku rested up a bit, a nurse took both of them to meet the doctor, or the quirk doctor, that was tasked with checking on Izuku's quirk. As they headed for the office, they saw the doctor, who was staring intensely at the paper. But as soon as Inko knocked on his door, he jumped. "Oh, Miss Midoriya, and Izuku, was it?" he asked, but a little frantic, also a bit startled. Come in, gesturing toward the seat opposite to his own. The green-haired pair sat down, being a little laid back. The doctor had his attention greatly on Izuku instead of being more focused. "So, doctor, how you know what my son's quirk is?" Inko asked the doctor as she is fidgeting over the answer. The quirk doctor realized that he was embarrassed himself and tried to regain his calm composure. "Sorry, miss, it's just that his quirk is unsettling," he tells Inko bluntly. "Unsettling? What's so unsettling about my child?" she stammers, demanding an answer. The doctor cleared his throat and began to speak. "Well, for its one man, it's an emitter and mutation type quirk, which is on its own an amazing feat. But that's not what unsettles me. Then what? Before she could finish her sentence, she felt a tug on her shirt and looked down. Izuku was stammering to what his quirk was, but his mom eventually said that if she doesn't listen to the doctor, she won't know what the quirk is. And Izuku finally calms down. That's the problem I am talking about, ma'am. His records show that your son has ADHD, correct? The doctor asked Inko, awaiting an answer. Yes, that is correct, but what does that have to do with my son's quirk? Inko asked, curious why he brought up that question. Yes, you see, while I was going through your son's result, I found that his body is building up energy, he explains. And the thing is about this, it's an unidentifiable energy. Inko is lost in the explanation. Meaning? Well, his deficiency is caused by the energy or the defiance within his own brain causing ADHD is caused by his quirk building up this energy. That's what causes his ADHD. And this is more like a drawback than anything else and might get better in the future. Well, on the thing about what his quirk is or what his quirk is called, we can't really say that right now because as far as we know, his quirk is still developing. So, come back in about 3 months once his quirk is more developed and we can tell you. The doctor says while writing the receipt that they can use the next time they come back. Inko took the receipt, bowed to the doctor, and took Izuku away. As they exited the hospital and headed to the car, Izuku asked his mom, So mom, what's my quirk? What's my quirk? He asked, overjoyed, and Inko bent down to ruffle his hair. Well, it doesn't have a name yet, sweetie, she says, telling him the truth. And Izuku is saddened by this. Aw, but why? He whines, completely distressed by this as they enter the car and driving away and headed to the main road. Inko began to talk. Well, it's complicated, but from what I hear, it sounds pretty cool, she answers in a sweet tone, getting Izuku to calm down, and he is starstruck. Really? Yes. Yeah, it's so cool that the doctors need to wait for longer for it to get cooler. He hopes. His son's hopes get up by this, and now Izuku is shaking in his seat. Ha 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 ha. Yes, I can't wait to show them up. Kachan is gonna be so jealous, he shouts, but he couldn't contain himself and his excitement, and Inko was so happy for him, as this is the most she has ever seen Izuku so happy in a long time. But somewhere else in a dark lab, we see a man look to some sort of life support system with the quirk doctor beside him. So, what you're saying is this child's quirk. All for One speaks, breathing through air, through his oxygen mask. Sir, please don't strain yourself. You're still not fully recovered from your battle, the doctor warned him. But if it was such a powerful quirk, why didn't you just take it? He asked his minion, angrily wondering why he would let such a powerful quirk out of his grab. Master, there were multiple reasons why when they first came to me, I examined it and it didn't seem like anything worth keeping, he explained, graveling in fear. Just seemed like some weak vibration type quirk, until it awakened and became some sort of monstrous quirk. I do not care for how weak it was. I am asking if it was as strong as you said. Why didn't you take it? He spoke in his low voice. But the message screamed volumes as All for One was not pleased. Yes, Master, you see, that's the problem. The quirk is way too violent. His body is somehow managing because of how his stages are developing, but if you were to take his quirk, even if it was fully developed or even not, he trails off. I could what, good doctor? All for One asked, staring at the man from beside him. The doctor is quaking in fear, but he finally calmed down and said, You could die. There was a moment of pure unfiltered silence. like time itself had stopped completely. All for One began to grin, and that grin turns into laugh. The doctor began to worry. Master? Well, if that is the problem, then we don't need to worry, the villain said, in a sadistic tone in his voice. Then he turned to two giant glass water tanks with humanoid creatures inside them. No need to worry at all.
Well, that's enough of you. Well, that's the guy that I wanted to do a collab with, Sixmeister. At the time of this recording, he has over 900 subs. Hopefully he reaches 1k before this video drops. But anyway, thanks for making it to the end of this video. And if you want us to continue with this what if, please do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and comment down below what you thought of this collab. And this is Grattify What Ifs, signing off.